Hello everyone and welcome to the Old School Winter Summit of 2022, the first ever Winter Summit. In fact, I'm your host Mod Ies and I'm joined by the absolutely wonderful Mod Kieren.
Hell yeah, welcome everybody.
How are you doing today, Kieren?
I'm fantastic, really looking
Good.
forward to this. Got some awesome stuff to show you later.
We really do. We have an absolutely amazing show in store for you all. So forget about the football. No one cares about that anymore. It's half time. We're probably going to lose anyway. So stick around because there is so much content that we have to reveal to you. In addition to content, we've also got some giveaways that we'll be doing that Mod Light has been arranging. So if you want to get an LED neon style light, there are various different ones. We've actually got 3 of them to give away in this stream today. So the longer that you watch, the more chance you have of winning. Here's they are being shown on screen right now. Now, I have to excuse myself. I'm extremely excited, also very nervous, and I'm running on a few hours of sleep. I'm sure you're all aware of what happened earlier today. We'll just not worry about that for now. We'll have a good time, enjoy the rest of the evening, and get ready for some reveals. How excited are you, Kieren?
Man, there's just so many awesome things coming up, and I know I'm personally excited about the content. I know the players are going to be as well, so yeah, buzzing, to be honest. It's been a long time coming, and I know players have been really chomping at the bit to find out a bit more about what we're planning as well. So
They really have been. They really have been. Should we bring up the first graphic that we have available for you? And it's just a little sneak peek of how we're going to be showing things today. Ooh.
awesome. Secrets, secrets, secrets. Doesn't show you much just yet, but throughout tonight, obviously we'll be populating this with some of the things that we're showing off. The creative team have really sort of done a fantastic job with everything tonight, to be honest. The set looks amazing. This graphic will look incredible once we'll get everything onto it as well. But we'll be showing you sort of a rough idea of when things are coming and so on. And the large focus of all of this is sort of the next 6 to 8 months.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, one thing to point out, so throughout this evening, there's going to be a variety of different blogs that will be going live. We'll let you know when they have gone live. There are 2 in particular that will go that will be dedicated. We'll let you know, so make sure you check out the webpage once they have gone out. And at the very end of today's stream, we're going to be putting a blog that will summarize all of the content that you've seen. And you'll actually also notice that there will be poll questions within those blogs. So the reason we're doing that, if you're not aware already, is that we have changed the way that we poll content now. This was something that we implemented just a few months ago. So we want to get the green light on everything that we're going to be talking about so that we know that you want us to start working on it straight away. So fingers crossed, when you see the things that we're going to show you, you're going to be very happy with them. When the blog comes out, it details everything else that you might need to know at this point and everything that we're able to share with you at least. And those poll questions go live in game on the 20th of December. So not that long to wait at all. We also have a little something that we'll be opening outside of that in terms of the polls today, but we'll talk about that a little bit later on because first of all, I think we should probably speak about that giveaway we mentioned, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think chat's already clocked onto it though.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. But yeah, first of the giveaways. So we have, as Elisa mentioned, we have 3 of these LED neon style lights to give away tonight. The first one is of this max cash stack. So, well, what you need to do, as chat is already demonstrating, is type the keyword cash into the chat. And after a certain amount of time, later in the stream, we will reveal the winner and announce the next word as well. So yeah, make sure you stay tuned for the entire stream to keep in with a chance of winning.
Yeah, in terms of the actual giveaway, we'll announce the winner on stream and then Mod Light will be in touch directly to get your contact details so we can get that sent out to you. So maybe, I don't know, maybe you've heard enough of us for a little while at least. So how about we kick things off with a very familiar face as a nice little intro to the summit and what's to be expected coming up.
2022 draws to a festive close with our traditional Christmas event, and Mod Halo's written us a wacky tale of seasonal shenanigans for his first project as design lead. Who needs elf ears when you can get elf beers? Santa's coming to town, and this year he's bringing the Nutcracker, an exclusive pub that only the most festive can enter. Can you help a beer-loving dwarf get their chance at the free bar? Can you satisfy the quality assurance gnome? You'll have to prove your worth if you want a shot of the Christmas spirit. Of course, back in the real world, please drink responsibly. I recommend Earl Grey tea.
Well, Modash certainly does love his Earl Grey tea. What a lovely looking event it seems to be. Kieren, is there anything else that you can tell us that players might be able to expect from this year's Christmas event?
Well, it's an awesome event, lovely handcrafted by our brand new content developer. Rather than telling you more, what I will say is it will come out next week's game update, which I believe is on the Tuesday rather than the Wednesday. So stay tuned for that. It's coming up almost immediately.
Okay, amazing. Well, we have got quite a lot of content on offer today. I think you've got a little something in regards to content to speak about, right, Kieren?
Oh yeah, speaking of content, the best way to get it? Good value membership. Woo!
Nice.
So the best content on offer can only be matched with the best value membership. And the good news is you can get that right now. Check out Premier Membership for our best value membership to date and snag yourself one hefty discount. It's a great gift to find under the tree this year, isn't it? So, speaking of trees, hey.
For years now, players have been cutting down trees, oblivious to the subtle happenings in the forest. Things that someone skilled in the art of forestry might pick up on. With Way of the Forester, you'll encounter all sorts of weird and wonderful things as you explore and maintain the beautiful forest of Gillen. With this expansion, we're looking to bring a more social and dynamic experience to core woodcutting by removing resource competition, introducing exciting new events into the core tree chopping gameplay, and expanding the economy around woodcutting. These new additions to how you train the skill would not be an instance minigame or a boss. They can be experienced almost anywhere there are trees. To begin your forestry adventure, you'll receive training from the freaky forester himself. Once ready, he'll give you a forestry kit and send you out into the world to face whatever the forests have in store. While cutting trees, you'll have a chance to encounter a forestry event. These events are themed around taking care of the woodland, including chasing away fox poachers, controlling the pheasant population, rehoming bees, and even giving a tree ant a haircut. You'll also meet some of the more secretive inhabitants of the forests, such as dryads and leprechauns, and they may even have some special rewards in return for your help. Yes, the life of a forester is never dull. It's never lonely either. Forestry is better with friends, so finding where other foresters are and working together is key to being most effective and seeing all the forests have to offer. To aid this, we'd like rewards and XP to scale based on woodcutting level, so players of all experience levels can experience forestry together. To further this social aspect, we'd also like to address resource competition by changing how trees despawn so grouping is no longer punished, as well as giving bonuses such as improved XP or yield based on the number of people cutting the same tree. No longer will you despair when someone appears next to you while cutting trees. Alongside these events and social changes, we'd also like to introduce foresters' campfires. While chopping trees, players would be able to gather leaves specific to that tree alongside the usual logs. Each type of leaf has a different combination of properties that can be released by burning them on a normal campfire. Any players that rest at these special campfires will receive temporary bonuses to their combat, production, and gathering skills based on the type of leaf. Foresters can further the effect by consuming a forester's ration while sitting at the fire. As well as being useful, we hope this will foster some social downtime in all sorts of content. Of course, foresters' campfires are not the only potential use for tree leaves. Another use we'd like to add is tea brewing. This would be a herb lore-based activity that allows players to brew teas with different properties by freely combining multiple types of leaves, resulting in many potential tea effects. Foresters' campfires and tea brewing are a couple of ways forestry ties in with the wider game, but we'd like to do even better. We're keen to stimulate an economy around forestry, including meaningfully tying other skills into that ecosystem to allow all sorts of players to contribute to forestry, even without an axe in their hands. Forestry will require many different consumable items that can be carried in their forestry kits. These items could require new components obtained through forestry, as well as existing items obtained elsewhere, and would be crafted by different production and gathering skills. We'd like these components and crafted items to be tradable, so players can participate in the economy in ways that suit their playstyle, and since the items will be consumable, they'll always be in demand. To obtain these new components, we'd like to introduce a forestry currency that, along with logs of all tiers, can be used to purchase components and new, unique rewards. What unique rewards? Well, some ideas include an equipable log basket to expand your log carrying capacity, two-handed axes, a bee-box for your house, new fashion items, and maybe an alternative way to obtain the lumberjack outfit. We're very excited about the social experience that Way of the Forester could bring to both woodcutting and the wider game, and we hope you are too. This expansion is in the early concept stages, and we'll have more details to share next year. In the meantime, be sure to let us know your thoughts and ideas for things you'd like to see in woodcutting Way of the Forester.
Amazing! I genuinely can't wait for this update. I think it has a huge potential to really improve the woodcutting skill and how it is today. It's a long changed, sort of unchanged skill, I guess.
Absolutely, and that cinematic was beautiful. Oh my.
Yeah, how wholesome as well. What wholesome vibes. So joining us this evening to help answer your questions is the wonderful Mod Squid. Welcome to the stream. How are you?
Hello, thank you. Yeah, I'm good. Nervous, but this is really exciting. Yeah, really cool.
Brilliant. Awesome. Well, let's get straight into it. The first chat question I've got is cash.
Cash.
They seem to be liking spamming cash.
Something
You know what?
about cash.
Yeah, maybe we should just say it now. By the way, for everyone at home, you only have to type cash once, and as long as you've typed it once, you'll be entered into the giveaway. So you don't need to keep spamming it, because we are looking to get questions from chat as well. So the more that you spam cash, the less chance that we're going to be able to get to actually pick up your questions. So this is, I guess, the one reminder. I'll remind you again a little bit later on. If you do have any questions, feel free to post them in the chat at OldSchoolRS. Get them over to us, and also if you want to use hashtag OSRS Summit on Twitter, we'll try and bring up some things on screen, just as shown now. That was pretty smooth. Good job,
Brilliant.
production. Go ahead, back to your questions.
Awesome. So question number one, other than the cash one. Squid, can you tell us what makes Forestry different from the other recent skilling revamps we've done? What makes this so special when we compare it to Guardians of the Rift or Giant's Foundry?
Yeah, so there's a few main points really that differ it. The first is that it's part of the core woodcutting gameplay. It's not a mini game or an instance or anything like that. You don't have to go somewhere to do it. It's not, tucked away somewhere. It is part of woodcutting. You'll experience these events while you're actually chopping trees. So it's going to make the overworld a bit richer, bring a bit more life to it, and it's going to be really natural in how it comes about. You could be running through the world and just encounter someone doing forestry, and maybe we'll jump in.
Yeah.
The second thing is that it's social and community driven by design. So you can do the events on your own, but it's better to do them with other people. You'll get a better experience, you'll reap more rewards. It's just a better time by doing it with other people. And to support that, we want to, as we mentioned in the video, change how trees despawn so that there's actually more benefit to chopping the same tree with other people instead of it being a competition about who's going to get the resources.
Yeah, I've always hated having to hop.
I know, it's not a very social thing for an MMO to do that. And then the third thing is that forestry aims to be integrated into the wider game. So it's not just a closed loop in woodcutting. It's actually going to be integrated into the economy as a whole. So everything in forestry is tradable. Foresters will require items to interact with all the events and get the most benefit from them. And all those components that they need to craft those are tradable. They require different skills to actually craft them. So you might purchase the core components, put them on the Grand Exchange. Someone else will go, oh, I'm leveling my mining or smithing or something. This is in my level bracket. I'll buy that component, I'll combine it with some metal bars or whatever else it requires, craft the item, then sell it. So people are going to be interacting with forestry, the ecosystem, without actually directly doing the events as well. And the campfires as well, they give benefits to everyone, regardless of what kind of content you're doing, you're going to get benefits from those.
Brilliant. Awesome. Thanks for the thorough answer on that as well. What do you think the players will love most about Forestry?
Yeah, I think it kind of depends what kind of player you are, because as I said, there's something for everyone in there. If you're a woodcutter, obviously the events are going to bring a whole new aspect to woodcutting and a new dynamic, and that's going to be hopefully really interesting and exciting when those events happen and doing all those different things. But if you're not a woodcutter, then you can participate in that economy. You can level your skills, you can make some money probably from the different items that are being sold, because they'll always be in demand. And even if you're not part of that, if you're doing fishing or something, the campfires are going to give you benefits. You can imagine someone popping down a campfire that gives a gathering bonus, and then everyone gathering in that area is going to come around and sit at the campfire, maybe have a chat, have a nice bit of social downtime, we hope.
That's awesome. I do love the really strong community nature of everything that this update can potentially contain. So, with the new polling system in place, what kind of details are you particularly looking for when it comes to community consultation?
So I think it gives us a really good opportunity to get feedback really early in the process. It's a big update, there's a lot to it, and it touches a lot of aspects of the game. So I think it'd be really great to get that feedback in early in the design, rather than just chucking a complete design document at players and going, what do you think? So I think we could maybe start with saying, here's the overall direction we want to go with the content, this is what we're thinking, and then drill deeper into the different aspects like the events and then campfires, and just get feedback all the way through. It's a social event after all, we want to get players involved in that process.
Awesome. So some quick questions that are from the chat directly. Some of these you maybe don't know the answer to, and maybe we just haven't decided yet. So, for example, will it make woodcutting less AFK?
Yes, it will. The events will require you to actually be doing something, and they're all they're a lot more involved than just clicking a tree and cutting it, put it that way. So
yeah. But could you still choose to just chop a tree if that's all you wanted to do?
Yeah, so the forestry kit that you get to interact with forestry is, if you're not wearing that, then you won't spawn any forestry events. So it is opt-in. You could go somewhere on your own and just chop trees if you want to do that, if you don't want to do forestry events.
Brilliant. Okay. Why did we decide woodcutting needs a change instead of other skills?
I think we can all agree there are other skills that need changes as well, but woodcutting has a very dull core loop and not a lot of other things around it like other skills we've done. I mean, we've done things, rune crafting, we've done smithing, we've done some fishing stuff, so it was about time woodcutting got something a bit more interesting.
Brilliant. And one final question is, why does Mod Squid look like a lumberjack?
I was born to make this content,
Yeah.
Did you look like a fisherman with temporos? I don't recall.
I go through the stages.
But I guess it was in the name at that point, right? This, Squid and
That's right,
temporos. Yeah. So I wonder what we'll be working on next.
Who knows?
We'll see. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Mod Squid. It's been an absolute pleasure. But I think it's about time that we went on to the next reveal, and this one I'm actually quite excited for, actually. So hope you enjoy it.
Restricted accounts such as Skilling Pures, 10 HP Pures or 1 Defense Pures have been part of the RuneScape community for a long time now. So we'd like to propose an update to add official support for these game modes. Both new players and existing accounts that have already made a unique build can opt into the game mode, assuming they still meet the requirements. Accounts of any type will be allowed to add restrictions, whether you're a regular account, Iron Man, Hardcore Iron Man, Ultimate Iron Man, or even a Group Iron Man. Initially, we'll offer restrictions based on combat skills, but the system could be expanded to include further rule sets later. For now, we wanted to start with official 10 HP Pures and Skilling Pures. So how will it work? A restricted account will work exactly like a standard account. However, they cannot gain from content they have restricted themselves from. Players will be able to opt in and opt out of the restrictions at any time, as long as their account still meets the requirement. So, for example, if your account still has only 10 hit points skill total, you'll be able to opt in to the 10 HP Pure restriction. Once opted into a skill-based restriction, the player will no longer receive XP in those skills, meaning a skiller pure could gain access to Mauritania and try their hand at the content there with no combat skills. Good luck with that. However, to preserve some of the more unique builds, specifically PvP builds, the XP the player would have received is still recorded and will be awarded should they ever opt out in the future. So this will still disallow accounts such as 20 Strength and Defense who have finished Waterfall Quest, for example. And for those true purists among you, this same recorded XP can be used to identify those who have never broken their restrictions and have never gained that XP at all. By adding official support for restricted accounts, we will be able to remove access limitations and allow players to show their commitment to their game mode, with new chat icons, outfits, and a high score table.
Well, there we have it. With Iron Mode being officially recognised over 8 years ago now, it's extremely exciting to see the potential of other restricted game modes becoming an official thing within Old School. As you heard there from Mod Dylan, the potential to opt into it as well means that you don't have to worry about creating a new account. If your existing account meets the requirements, you'd be able to jump straight in and actually benefit from this new not temporary, but alternate way of playing Old School. Something that I would just like to clarify, Mod Dylan's not here to answer any questions, so we'll do our best to be able to get through them, but I saw quite a bit of confusion in the chat, especially when it came round to how you could benefit from experience gains within this, this new official account builds. So essentially, let's say, for example, you've locked yourself in as a 10 HP account and you can't get any combat skills. You are literally just a skiller pure. You can still go out and complete quests as if you were a main account, but you won't get the experience from those quests. However, the clarification that I want to make is that that experience is stored against your account, but it's just not granted until you were then choosing to opt out of official account builds. So if you wanted to make the most overpowered 10 HP account in the game and complete all of the quests, maybe even get a quest cake with 10 HP, that would be possible with this mode. So if you then wanted to opt out of it in the future and become a main because you've got bored of that type of game mode or game play style, you can choose to do so and go straight back into just playing as a normal account with all of that XP given to you. Similarly, with a 1 defense account, if you want to make a really strong account for PvP, you'd be able to do that as well and go out and do all of the quests that you can't do at the moment, get access to things like fairy rings and Mauritania as mentioned as well. So another question on here, maybe you can help me out with this one, Kieren. You know what? I've just realised I've just literally covered the question that I was going to ask. So I was going to say, can you opt into it if you meet the requirements? But you can. So I had a little bit of a brain lag there.
What I will say on that is, I really personally with this wanted to recognise the communities that already exist out there in the player base. You know, just like with Iron Man, as you mentioned, like 8 years ago, there were a handful of people trying out self-restricting themselves to no trading and stuff like that. So I think there's long been a history of skiller accounts in RuneScape. Sure. Even back to 2007, people were trying out this kind of thing. I think it's awesome to be able to give those people an official status and official high scores, that kind of support, because then, hell yeah, you get to compete with others in the same category as you. But as you mentioned, 1 defense, 10 HP, you will have options to decide exactly how you want to set up your account in more personalized ways as well.
Yeah, same with like any type of account that you'd really want. At the moment, it depends on what we put in there in terms of restrictions. I've seen a few people ask about things like 45 defense. That's not something that we'll be looking to officially recognize to begin with, but if it turned out to be a really popular request, then we could add it into the system. It's been built so it's modular, very flexible. We'll be able to expand it. For me, really, what this is about, especially working in community management, is just really showing what having a community-driven game looks like. It's giving power to the players and letting people choose the way that they want to play and officially recognizing it so that we can really just push the boundaries and explore ways that Gillenor's not really been explored before, because there are so many pieces of content out there in the game that restricted accounts can't take advantage of because it would give them benefits that would otherwise be not possible. So who knows? It's all got to go through the typical polling and community consultation. So we're really going to want to work with you guys to figure out how exactly this ends up shaping. But I guess from what we've known or seen so far, Kieren, what are you most excited about when it comes to official account builds?
To be honest, it's as I say, like recognizing those communities, working with those communities. I know Dylan has personally been reaching out to people that already play the game in many restricted ways to get that sort of feedback built into some of the early thinking with the design here.
Yep.
But that consultation will continue, of course. And I see some of the chat questions coming in. There's a few like, does this affect Soul Wars? Can we see stored XP somewhere? Will players be able to do quests without requirements? Because obviously if you are restricted to like 1 defense, can you do a quest that actually requires a defense level? The honest answer to some of these is I don't know if we know yet or haven't made a decision on yet. And that is what the next stages will look like. I'll be talking to the community at large and getting that feedback taken on board.
Yeah, I think that's really the beauty of the new approach that we have now with polling content as well, is bringing the community on right at the start. So before we've even got to the point of having everything ready to ship, we can find out exactly how it is that you want to shape the content out. For me personally, I'm really just excited to see how strong people can make their accounts and how far people can progress in an official capacity going forward. And also being able to support those players in a way that we've not been able to in the past, because there has always been that question of should we or should we not allow this to happen for those type of account builds. But with how we've approached things like restricted polling for Iron Men, Ultimate Iron Men, Hardcore Iron Men, we could now look at doing restricted polling for specific other official account builds based on what's available in the system. But I think that's probably about as much as we can cover at the moment for official account builds. Super excited. super excited to hear what you guys at home think about it too. So please do make sure that you let us know. As I've mentioned at the start, we will be putting a blog out at the end of the stream that covers all of the detail that we've gone over, and it will have feedback threads in there for you to let us know what you think. Obviously, over the next few weeks, we're not going to be doing anything Christmassy. We're not going to be spending time with family. We're going to be checking all your feedback because that's what we love doing here. So please give it to us. But on that note, I think it's probably about time that we give something away because I see a lot of people spamming cash in the chat.
Go on then, let's do it.
Well, maybe before we should remind people, in case you haven't typed it enough already, this is your final reminder that if you want to get in a chance to win the cash LED neon style light, make sure you type cash in the chat because you've got about 20 seconds before Modlight hits the button and says who wins. So I guess, we've seen 2 things so far. How do you think it's going?
Awesome. I'm really excited about both of these pieces of content, pieces of update is what I was going to say. I think Forestry, as I said, real good chance to update a skill that's kind of long been untouched.
Yeah.
It's one of those iconic parts of the game, chopping trees. But it sucks that you have to find your own world and do it by yourself.
I mean, the best thing about woodcutting is getting to the level required to cut redwoods, to be honest.
Yeah.
For me. It's like, once I'm there, I'm like, fine, this skill's good now.
Yeah, absolutely. But you remember back in the day, we were all noobs. We didn't know, we were none the wiser. We'd stand there, we would type WC levels in chat. But because now we're smarter, everyone's in their own world, so you can't do that. It'd be great if even those kind of basic interactions can be part of the game. And official count builds, I think it is never necessarily going to be the level of Iron Man in terms of the impact it's had. The key thing with it is, I think, recognizing those communities and giving them,
for sure.
giving them official recognition and support. So yeah, really exciting. And as you can see from the roadmap, we've filled in 2 of the slots so far. Official account builds will be sometime in early 2023. Forestry a little bit later in the year, in mid 2023.
All right, so I think we are ready to go. So let's announce the winner of the very first giveaway, and that is going to be going to none other than, any moment now, Mousekill. Congratulations, Mousekill, on winning the cash LED light. Now, if you're annoyed, if you're upset, don't be. You should say congratulations, because guess what? There are still 2 more lights to give away, and we're going to start the giveaway for the second one right now. You have to promise me though, chat, you're only going to type it in once because we really need to see your questions. We should have thought this through a little bit more, but you know what? It's fine. We like a little bit of mayhem over here. Now, if you want to have a chance to win the Hardcore Iron Man light that you can see on screen now, then it's HCIM in the chat, all in caps. So good luck to everyone entering. Make sure that you put it into the chat, HCIM, but only type it once, okay? And remember, if you misbehave today, we can mute you and you won't be able to get into the giveaways. So,
Oh, well.
I like to finally have some power over the Twitch chat.
Well, with that said, I think it's time for a little plug. With the Forestry update, with skilling accounts, what's the best way to train these kind of things? It's on the go. It's on your mobile phone.
Ah, smooth. I like
Brilliant.
it.
So, obviously, Old School is available on Android and iOS. It's been over 4 years now. That is crazy. It feels like it flew by. But I think it's really worth highlighting mobile right now because we've added a whole range of features to mobile over the past year that are really upping that experience on that client. A lot of the features you might recognize from RuneLight, being able to actually have them on your phone now, obviously incredible. And obviously there'll be more to come as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're not stopping there, are we? We've got a whole bunch of new stuff coming out to mobile. And in fact, one of those is something that we want to show off for you now. So we're going to go straight to the next reveal. Shortly afterwards, we're going to take a little break. Don't go anywhere because the reveal after this, I know a lot of you out there have been waiting a long time for it. So yeah, stay tuned, enjoy the next one, and we'll see you in around about 5 or so minutes.
Hi, I'm Mod Fife. Today we're going to take you through a top-level overview of the tech updates within Old School RuneScape, starting with the publishing platform. Back in March, Mod Corps and I discussed the roadmap. Thank you for trying out the launcher. Over 100,000 players have given it a go, and with the addition of easy account switching between multiple RuneScape accounts, it is now the best way to play, whether you're using RuneLight or our own client. Early in the new year, we are releasing 2 exciting features. First, the Jagex launcher will support our enhanced client. This means that from our launcher, you'll be able to easily access all the great new features that are available to those that play on Steam and on mobile. And we are excited to finally bring you enhanced account security via Jagex accounts. Now, we want everyone using Jagex accounts as soon as possible, yet given the extreme importance of account security, we have adopted a carefully staged release plan. Our team here is already using them, and the next step in the new year will be an invite-only release to PMods and select influencers. And then by March, we plan to open up their use to everyone. You may have read our technical blog post. Jagex accounts are built on a modern and secure technology stack. They offer stronger passwords, MFA with recovery codes, two-step authentication via email, email notification on successful login and when account settings change, and a robust means to stop brute force account takeover, and increased protection from bots. In addition to being secure, via the launcher from the get-go, Jagex accounts also have one-click character create. So playing new game modes will be as simple as pressing a button. It's going to be an exciting year. There's more to come. For example, later in the year, we'll be extending convenient multi-character play to our players on mobile and on Steam. We intend to overhaul some aspects of our account recovery process. We'll keep you posted in the new year. The publishing platform team thanks you for your support. Now let's hear a little bit more about Old School's upcoming client features.
Over the coming year, Old School's game clients have a lot of exciting features coming their way that will be available on Android and iOS, Steam, and as you've just heard, the Jagex launcher. There's a lot that we could talk about coming in the future, but I'd like to take a little time to focus on a couple of things coming particularly soon. To kick us off, we've been talking about a rework to the mobile interface for some time, and we have a blog live now to give you some more insight as to just how that's been coming along. This new interface will offer us much more flexibility in bringing features to mobile, really making use of the new tech available in the client and offering more in the interface space that's available to us. Now, what kind of feature does this unlock for us? The batch that I'd like to talk to are what we've been calling loot tools. These have been some of the most highly requested features for our new client and will be coming soon to both Steam and mobile. Among a few more minor features, there are two big hitters here. First up are ground item overlays. The ability to see what items are on the ground listed in a customizable format where you can set your own thresholds for what items to show and highlight, as well as which items you want to draw special attention to or ignore entirely. The second is loot tracking, an interface made available to you to track all your loot received, because after all, loot is where it's at. This will keep track of drops you receive from monsters, loot from raids, items stolen from chests, and plenty more, giving you an in-depth log to keep watch and see grow while you train and adventure. And there we have our next steps for our game clients. There'll be plenty more to show and tell in time, but those are the things we have to look forward to in the near future. Finally, over to Modern In to talk about server performance and hardware upgrades.
There's always a lot going on with our tech teams, and this year has been no different. We've been supporting new content with new tech, such as a new animation pipeline that debuted with Tombs of the Mascot. We've brought our new enhanced client to mobile with a ton of new features still yet to come. And recently, we've been laser focused on improving the performance of game worlds, which is something we know has been an issue for you lately. To dive deeper into the challenges we face with game world performance, we need to briefly explain a game tick. Every 600 milliseconds, the server reads inputs from every player online, then updates the state of everything in the world, such as moving NPCs and running combat scripts, and then sends the new state of the world back to every player's game client before then waiting for the next tick. Ideally, the time this all takes is short and consistent. If it's too long, then your inputs feel delayed and you have less time to react to things. And if it's inconsistent, then the rhythm of the game feels off and precise gameplay becomes difficult. Tick time suffered noticeably when Tombs of the Mascot launched. The raid features some pretty complex scripts and requires precise gameplay, and with the launch rush seeing hundreds of players per world raiding simultaneously, a performance impact was felt. Ticks grew in both duration and inconsistency. Tombs of Mascot had an amazing launch otherwise, so we're going all in on solving game world performance. On the software side, we're making significant optimizations to the game's scripts, as well as the way they're compiled and executed at runtime that have been showing some great results in testing so far. We've also been reworking some areas of the engine to make better use of the hardware it's running on. And speaking of hardware, our teams have recently been upgrading our servers, and you might have already noticed a big improvement if you've happened to play on them. We've been steadily rolling out this hardware over the past several weeks and hope to have all servers using them as soon as possible. Between the efforts of several teams here, we're looking at tick time being more than halved over the coming months. And then you'll need to find another excuse for your bad clicks. Jokes aside, we hope you've enjoyed this deeper dive into the tech side of old school RuneScape.
Welcome back, everyone. We hope you enjoyed that little mini showcase of the community's greatest content whilst we were on a break there. And if you did miss it, then be sure to make sure that you check out the blog that is now live, covering everything in regards to the mobile top-level interface rework that we'll be looking to put out very soon. And if you want to get a link to that blog, !mobile UI in the chat will take you right there. Now, we hope that you're ready for this next reveal, because I know that is something that so many of you have been waiting for, and so many of you have been tweeting about, posting on Reddit, sliding into my DMs about. So the patient return of something so spectacular is finally here. But it would be wrong of me to introduce it because I think this one is more for you, Kieren.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I don't think even I can do this one alone without the help of an old friend.
Oh, Jesus!
Hey, Chris.
Hey, Kieren.
I've got some great news.
What is it, Kieren?
Remember Bounty Hunter?
Yeah?
It's coming back.
Is it?
It is.
I love Bounty Hunter.
Well, I think you're the perfect person for our hype trailer. Remember all those Bounty Hunter videos you used to make?
What's up, dudes? It's Chris, and welcome to my very first ever Bounty Hunter video. It is packed. Look at this. It's absolutely awesome.
Ugh. Oh, God. No, Kieren. I'm a changed man. I don't do that kind of thing anymore. Bounty Hunter is back and better than... Line?
Than ever, Archie. Better than ever.
Bounty Hunter is back and better than ever.
Go on then. Oh my god.
The host of new and exciting rewards exclusive to Bounty Hunter.
Well, he said for tier 7.
Allowing us to experiment more than ever before.
Yes! Challenge completed, baby!
Hey, Chris. Hey, Chris. I've got some great news. Hey, Chris.
Hey,
I've got
Kieren.
some great news.
Oops.
I've got some great
Honestly, I'd be fine leaving it there, but I have 5 minutes to fill, so here we go anyway. Yes, Bounty Hunter will be making its bloody return in 2023. For the uninitiated, Bounty Hunter is a high-risk PvP minigame set in the wilderness with a simple premise. We give you another player as a bounty, and then you hunt them. With a rapid flow of targets, Bounty Hunter ensured that you had constant fights happening all the time with players at a similar combat level to you, meaning it was an excellent onboarding point for players into PvP. Obviously, this is an old school's first rodeo with Bounty Hunter after the previous ones were removed for, reasons. The question is, what's different this time? And the answer is the return of the craters. Locking the participants into a cavern within the heart of the wilderness ensures that anyone who wants to step into the ring can get a fair fight with someone who is also there for a scrap and not just hiding by the ditch desperately trying to snipe someone. This is Bounty Hunter, not Bounty Hider. Access to the craters will be restricted by combat level, and the targeting system will aim to match you based on a tighter combat band, so you're more likely to find yourself in a fair fight. Also, we're old school RuneScape. Naturally, we have to feed into the nostalgia factor at every available opportunity, so what better way to do that than to bring back 2007? Except this time, maybe we actually keep Wilderness PvP, or maybe we don't, who knows. Speaking of combat brackets, while the PvP arena and Last Man Standing provide a reasonable entry point into full gear, full on, no honor PvP combat, we don't currently have a good access point for getting your own account and your own gear into PvP, and we currently don't cater to anything other than the mechanically demanding tri-breed setups favoured in these minigames. We'd like Bounty Hunter to be that onboarding point, to be that place to take your freshly trained Pure in for its first taste of real combat. And to make sure that Pure stays pure and doesn't, say, try to cast Fire Surge in defensive mode just after the Grand Exchange on a PvP world, we'll be blocking combat XP gain while in Bounty Hunter. But I know what you're all thinking at this point. What about the rewards? Well, as you can imagine, the main concern for this space is the potential for more profit-minded individuals to game the system for their own gains rather than the enjoyment of the game itself. While we aren't ruling out any form of monetary gain from the rewards at this stage, we can say that the majority of rewards from this iteration of Bounty Hunter will be untradeable rewards. For example, you'll be able to dust off your hats and gain upgraded variants of them as you cut down your foes as either a rogue or a hunter. For the more practical gear, we'll be bringing back the mysterious emblems. These have a chance of dropping on a kill and will upgrade as you stay in the crater collecting bounties. These emblems can be cashed out at any point for Bounty Hunter points, which can be exchanged for goods and services. And with this currency only obtainable from within Bounty Hunter, it makes sense that we can give you goods that can only be used within Bounty Hunter. So, what kind of goods, you ask? Well,
Back in 2008, which was 14 years ago at this point, RuneScape introduced corrupted ancient warrior equipment, powerful gear obtained and primarily used in the then new PvP worlds. We'd like to introduce them to old school RuneScape as degradable tier 20 gear with stats that punch well above their weight. This would include the corrupt armor and weapons from 2008's PvP world drop table. These aren't the only rewards we have planned, and this is still very early in design, so we'd love to get your thoughts and feedback, though this time, if you could do it without calling me ugly on Twitter, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you all for watching, and now back to me in the studio.
Well, you heard it right, folks. That is it. Bounty Hunter finally making its return back to old school. I am so hyped. If you're hyped, can I please see a pog in the chat? That would be absolutely fantastic. Now, we are joined by the wonderful mods Kirby and mod Goblin to help us out answer your questions. We've got a few that I want to get through just beforehand. But before we do that, I've got to ask, how are you both doing? How was that, seeing the reaction from chat and also the video going up for both of you?
I'm anxious. I'm nervous. Obviously, we've got all of the community consultation stuff. There's going to be a lot to talk about with Bounty Hunter. So many questions to answer over the next few days, but I am gassed. I'm very excited.
Sure, and how about yourself, Kirby?
I'm absolutely terrified.
Well,
what's the worst that can happen, though?
You know what? At least we're feeling the exact same right now, so that's all good. What's your favourite moment of the summit been so far?
The part where I threw a bit of paper on the ground. I wrote that joke in at the start of the script because I couldn't think of anything else to write. And then it just stuck, and I'm just happy.
I think it worked great. So, and yourself, Goblin?
It's starting.
Okay.
It's been an anxious day with everything from earlier as well. So it's
Just-
like
yeah,
this
just
starting
a
and
little
going
bit.
okay so far.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
It's been good. And also
Alright.
the chat just spamming cash so that I couldn't see anything that anyone was actually saying.
Yeah,
I thought that was fantastic.
Thank you for the few questions that you did at least manage to get. So, talking of questions, let's get into a couple here. So, one thing that I want to cover off first of all, at least, is the fact that we mentioned creators, right? And I'm sure there are many hardcore PvP advocates that remember creators from back in the past. Can we talk a little bit more about what those are exactly and what players can expect from creators this time round? Like, what purpose will they serve, and will they be like the creators from way back when?
Do you want to take it? Or?
Oh, given I wasn't really massively into PvP way back then, unfortunately I can't really say for certain, but the creators are convenient because it's just a good box that we can put players in,
sure,
leave them there, and once they're in a box, we can apply whatever rules that we feel is appropriate to them. We want to match them on combat level, we can do that really easy because they're all in a box.
Sure.
So we putting them in a creator just gives us a lot of options to work with and just hits that nostalgia factor for some people, so it always feels nice.
For sure. I think when I was looking through the design and helping out with it as well, I think one of the main draws for it from my side was that it really allows for that full opt-in experience. You know, you can't enter Bounty Hunter and get attacked by another player unless you've literally put yourself into Bounty Hunter. And then there are some really cool and quirky things we can do. Like you said, unique rules. We can make rewards that can only be used in Bounty Hunter, so we can really push the boundaries of what kind of things come into a PvP environment, because they won't impact the rest of the wilderness. So those people who might be going out and, you know, on their adventures, doing a bit of PVM or a bit of skilling within the wilderness for that extra risk reward, don't have to worry about someone zooming up in level 20 PvP armors and absolutely decimating them. And then lastly, we can lock people into the creators if we want as well. So you might not, you know, want to take extra risk, you want to get extra reward, you've got to stay in there for a certain amount of time or get a certain amount of kills. I think it really just opens up a lot of potential.
Like one of the things you hit on there, which you're probably going to have to come back to at some point anyway, is the fact that we are putting you in this magic box specifically for Bounty Hunter.
Sure.
We can do some very silly things with the rewards if we want to, because it's only going to affect this one section of the game. We don't need to worry too much about the rest of it and how it's going to affect, I don't know, Tombs of Amascut or the rest of the wilderness. We got a carte blanche, let's use it.
No, exactly. And it's going to be really interesting when it gets to that community consultation phase in terms of like what it is that the players actually want us to put in there, because it literally will be open to almost anything that you're happy with and that we're obviously comfortable developing. So the next question I've got here is, it's a big one really, and it's how do we plan to combat the issues that existed in previous iterations of Bounty Hunter? Because obviously it's no secret that it's been deleted because of the problems that did exist before. So what are we doing this time around that's going to make it different?
It's kind of multitudinal, right? So like one of the things, I mean, our engine work has come like a little bit further now than it was back in the day as well. So it's possible for us to do things like keep track of the players that you've already been matched with and perhaps prevent you from matching with the same people within a certain number of interactions. We can experiment with things like skip limits. We can experiment with things like having to maybe tank for a little bit after you upgrade an emblem, or if you go rogue, if we wanted to experiment with a system like that. And then obviously, like we mentioned in the trailer, even though we're not dead set on rewards, because that's exactly what the kind of community consultation phase is for, having an untradables reward track so that it still feels like worth your time. If you're engaging in good faith and you just want to fight people and like get better in PvP, and you enjoy that kind of like edge style fast fights as opposed to Outlast, you still can do that and get something worth your time. But we probably would be keen to stay away from like high levels of GP generation, because you know, even though other content might suffer from some of those same issues, you don't want to see this get full up of people that are ruining it for you, right? So
for sure, I guess really you want to be going up against people that want to be there.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, you mentioned Edgeville there actually. What about those who did prefer like edge style PKing back in the day? Will this new version of Bounty Hunter still be able to accommodate them? And also, how will players get to these craters? Do we know that yet?
No.
Okay,
because
cool.
we haven't thought that far ahead. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
There's options. We could whack like an island offshore. We could whack it beneath Ferox. We could have an NPC whack you over the head and take you there, like in that, like, what is it, Cabin Fever, Rum Deal?
Cabin Fever.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's stuff that we could do, but again, that's the whole point, right? We've got time, we've got a whole new polling system, we've got a community of people who are super passionate about PvP, who love Bounty Hunter, who are going to have thoughts about Bounty Hunter, and yeah, that's what it all comes down to, right? Like, we'll decide with the players, and then we'll figure it out.
Awesome. Sounds really, really good. I'm genuinely so excited. So I've got a few questions on here. First of all, this is from chat, by the way. So if you do have questions in chat at OldSchoolRS, let us know. We'll try and get as much as we can answered. Can Iron Men get into this kind of content?
Yes. Next question.
Awesome.
Like, that's the advantage of having untradeable rewards. It's like, yeah, we could just give them to Iron Man.
So what about rewards going into the collection log? Will they or won't they?
I would default to yes. This is consideration we've already had on some level, and that yes, we probably have to add stuff to the collection log just because other PvP minigames have traditionally gone in the collection log. We can probably set it up, be clever about it in such a way that players that aren't massively involved in PvP don't have to commit too hard to PvP to fill out the collection log to get there. So one of the things we were considering is potentially having an item that was like fairly easy to get, but the more you progress through Bounty Hunter would be able to upgrade over time, but that would still only commit to one collection log slot. So people who just care about the slot getting easy, players that actually go the extra mile can get those upgrades and feel good about themselves too.
Yeah, it's still early phases, but like we had some discussions. We talked about maybe like a pet that was easy to get, like a floating skull or something, and maybe if you had like a bunch of kills, you'd get like a Revenant Maledictus styled skull or like a flaming, you know.
Yeah.
There's stuff that we could do, but again, community consultation. That's rewards. Player determined.
Sounds like a really healthy compromise, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think one of the main key points to take away from here is that we've obviously considered it, right? And we're aware of the fact that there are people out there who might want to complete the collection log slots.
Collection slog.
The collection
right,
slog.
yeah.
I mean, for some it can be, right?
That's not a few hours, man.
But at the same time, we do want it to be also rewarding for those who want to be there. So, no, I really appreciate it. Thank you. Will there be dedicated worlds for Bounty Hunter, do you think?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. I mean, we used to have 318, 319. They still are target worlds technically. We could do other stuff with it, but yeah, I'd imagine so.
Okay.
Just to make sure that we condense people, right? You want it to be active and not really spread out. So.
Yeah, for sure. Fantastic. Well, it sounds really exciting to me. I can't wait. I love the idea of bringing back the PvP armors, and especially them being at 20 defense. I know they were super popular back in the day, and that's literally, as you've said, both now, it's just the start, right? There are so many more reward opportunities and ideas that we can put forward as you guys just let us know. But I think that's about all we've got time for in regards to Bounty Hunter right now. So I do unfortunately have to say that it has been an absolute pleasure, but we'll have to be seeing you shortly. Stick around for a moment though, because I think...
awkwardly sit here
yeah,
while
yeah,
we go through the next segment.
You said goodbye when I knew full well we'd be sitting here for another segment.
What you've done is you just be sat off and
Man's got to follow the show flow, okay? You know, right? And Kieren, to you now. You can talk about that next bit.
So, light giveaway. You've all been spamming HCIM in the chat. This is a reminder for that. We will be rolling the winner very shortly, so this is your final reminder. Type HCIM in the chat now for a chance to win. I guess I'll go back to you for this one.
Sure thing, I'll go for it. Okay, so there is another thing that we'd like to announce, not necessarily new content, but something we're aware of that typically happens every single year, and we have not spoke about it as of yet. However, that is changing. We're speaking about it right now. We'd like to officially announce that the Golden Gnomes will be coming back. They are going to be celebrating this year's community achievements. However, we're not going to be ready for them until early next year. So sometime in January, we're going to be opening up voting for nominations. As you can probably tell, we've been quite a little bit busy. So unfortunately, it's one of those things that we've just had to let go for a little bit, but we are committed. They are going to be coming back January, very early on. We're going to be opening up nominations. You'll be able to vote on all of your favorite creators from across the entirety of the community. So we can't wait to showcase to you just how great of a community it is that we have. Now, I believe that we've got a winner for the Hardcore Iron Man Light, and that is Dark Lord Cecil. So congratulations. Woo! We've got people to actually clap here now. That's great. Cool.
I don't want to peek the mic, so I'm like,
yeah, just a small golf clap to the side.
All right, and Kieren, do you want to go ahead and announce the giveaway number 3?
So this is the
coolest.
final LED neon style light giveaway for this stream. Fitting, given we've just been talking about Bounty Hunter. This one is based off the icon for Ice Barrage. For this one, you must type freeze in the chat for a chance to win.
No freezes in BH, boo.
I do feel like we're on one of those shopping channels right now when you see these panning shots of the light.
We should have brought it in afterwards.
Should we sell the iPads? Can we do that?
We're not that strapped for cash.
Well, okay, fair enough. Well, how about we get on to our next reveal, because it is a really, really big one, and it's something that we've been building towards for quite some time now. To say any more would be a spoiler, so let's jump right into it.
We pray for the security of the Empire, for the safety of our people, sheltered by our Lord's trusted allies. By ice, the Empire is protected.
We pray that our secrets will be kept, that no dark, forgotten vault will relinquish our Lord's greatest treasures. By shadow, the Empire shall persist.
We pray that justice will be dealt and malefactors hunted from realm to realm. May our Lord's judgment never rest. By blood, the Empire will know peace.
We pray that our enemies shall be vanquished, that they shall cower in fear. From the highest mountain to the deepest sea, by smoke, the Empire will be victorious.
And the truth will be revealed once more.
The Caridian Desert holds many secrets, from vengeful demigods to warring rivals, from ancient weapons to forgotten spells. But there is one final secret, hidden beneath those sands, one that could change everything. History has forgotten this secret, for history is written by the victor. The time has come to uncover the truth. It's been 17 years since the release of the iconic Desert Treasure, and now, at long last, the Marjarat are back in Desert Treasure 2, The Fallen Empire. Much like the original, this new Grandmaster quest sees you journeying to 4 brand new areas. Within each one, you'll come face to face with the deadly new boss, Vardorvis, Duke Sekellus, the Leviathan, and the mysterious Whisperer. If you hope to uncover the secret buried in the Caridian Desert, you will need to defeat them all. But be on your guard, for nothing is ever as it seems when the Marjarat are involved. To say any more about the story of this quest would give too much away. What we can tell you is that completion will reward you in a way that you've never been rewarded before, because this quest will introduce our first ever prayer book, the Ruinous Powers, a relic of the Fallen Empire. It's still too early to share specifics, But rest assured that this won't be a replacement for your standard prayers. Instead, we're looking to create something similar to ancient magics, where you'll be sacrificing many of the prayers you've come to love, but getting some powerful new ones in doing so. Now, prayers are not the only reward from this quest, for you'll also be able to refight the 4 new bosses. Each of them will come with some exciting new uniques, including the iconic Virtus robes. Now at this point, you might be asking yourself, who exactly are these 4 bosses, and where are these new areas you'll fight them in? The thing is, you might actually know more than you think. We've been paving the road to this quest for some time now. In fact, we've already given you a tease of 3 of these new areas. They have 3 quests released over the past 2 years. In 2021, we gave you Below Ice Mountain. Earlier this year, we gave you Temple of the Eye. And just a few days ago, we gave you the Garden of Death. But what about the 4th area? A few weeks ago, we pulled a new mysterious quest, giving no information on the story or much else for that matter. But today, we can reveal that that quest is in fact another new addition to the Marjarat story. So let's take a closer look at Secrets of the North.
Secrets of the North is a brand new master level quest that acts as a sequel to Azil Cult, Fight Arena, and Devious Minds. In this quest, you'll need to form an uneasy alliance to solve the mystery of a sudden murder. Completion of the quest will be required for Desert Treasure 2, The Fallen Empire, and will also unlock a new boss. This boss will be a solo-only encounter with interesting new attacks and powerful new rewards. You better start panic buying your supplies now. As expected, with a new boss comes new rewards. So what are we offering this time? This boss is nowhere near on the same grandeur as a raid, so there won't be as many objective best-in-slot rewards. We'll be looking towards small, incremental upgrades and experimenting with unique niche effects that might have powerful use cases. The Forgotten Brew will be a sequential upgrade to the Ancient Brew, bolstering the magic boost effect significantly to match the ranging potion. This will use an existing Ancient Brew and a new consumable resource to create. In addition to the Forgotten Brew, we will also be introducing the Saturated Heart. Using this new consumable resource on your imbued heart will saturate it, bolstering its power, reducing the cooldown and increasing the boost effect significantly. A new untradeable unlock will also be offered in the form of the Ancient Scepter, an upgrade to the Ancient Staff created by using the Ancient icon on an existing Ancient Staff. This would be a fairly minor upgrade, offering a small amount of additional magic strength bonus and accuracy, but also adding the passive effect of buffing all ancient magic effects by 10%. This means bigger heals, bigger poisons, bigger reductions, and even longer freezes. The big one comes last, the Venator Bow. The Venator Bow will be a new range weapon that has a mediocre range of 6, an attack speed of 5, 4 on rapid, yet has a unique and powerful effect of arrows being able to ricochet off the primary target's hit, bouncing to other targets nearby. This bow will be extremely powerful at killing 2 to 3 targets quickly, as well as being able to deal strong single target damage if you have 1 additional target nearby. So there you have it. Not 1, but 2 new quests in the Marjarat storyline, along with 5 new bosses and a huge selection of new rewards. We can't wait to share more about Secrets of the North and Desert Treasure 2, The Fallen Empire, but until then, thank you for watching.
Well, England are out, but the Marjarat are back!
Hey, good one.
So, the mysterious quest we pulled earlier this year finally has a name. Secrets of the North is our first continuation of the Marjarat storyline, and it's coming out on the 11th of January. That's just a few weeks away, really, isn't it? A month
soon.
away. As if that wasn't hype enough, we've also got Desert Treasure 2.
Yes.
I know this is one of the ones I've been really looking forward to announcing and revealing, so hell yeah. 17 years later, that's a long time, and we're finally ready to follow on from the absolutely epic original. So, if you're hyped for it, can we get a smiley in the chat? Some wholesome content right there. And yeah, speaking of Desert Treasure 2 and the last announcement, Arcane and Ed, welcome to the stream. How you doing?
Pretty warm right now. I've got 3 layers on. There's no air conditioning. Sweating.
Yeah, I'm shining, mate. It's fine. You're doing way better than me.
How you doing, Ed?
Yeah, pretty good. We first teased Desert Treasure 2, I think it was 3 years ago, a little quote from Gnome Child at a birthday event, just like a throwaway quote, and now we're finally
announcing it, and that is it's the big one, isn't it? When you think back to like old school storytelling to like 2007, like the Marjarat, that was the storyline, and we are finally bringing it to old school.
Yeah, it is really so exciting. So shall we get into some questions then? That sounds like a great idea. So before we do go deeper into Desert Treasure 2 itself, let's have a chat about the quest that's coming out very, very soon, Secrets of the North. Ed, can you give us any hints on what to expect from this one?
Well, don't want to spoil too much, but I think we mentioned this is well, not just our first Marjarat quest in old school, but a sequel to 3 existing quests, Hazy Occult, Fight Arena, and Devious Minds, and that is quite an interesting trio of quests to be continuing. And one of the things that was always like really exciting about the Marjarat storyline, like back in the day, was that it wasn't just this linear storyline, like one quest after the other. It was all these sort of like individual Marjarat doing their own thing, and their storylines like slowly combining and joining and building up to this one big finale. And that's, I think, something that's going to be really interesting about this one. Like Hazy Occult and Devious Minds, how on earth are those storylines going to combine? I mean, I know how. I'm not going to tell you how, but yeah, it's really exciting. Really looking forward to that. Hazy Occult in particular has been quite an interesting one in that it's a bit of a weird quest in that you can like choose 2 different paths, and Secrets of the North, it's not going to be 2 separate quests, it's just one quest, but it does still sort of like acknowledge the path you picked. So there's some like really interesting stuff in there. Yeah, really, and like you say, just a few weeks away.
Also, I mean, I was going to say,
I'm getting
I really
goosebumps.
do hope you figured out how to put these stories together, given it's out in a month. So, of course, the quest isn't the only thing coming on the 11th of January, as we also have a new boss that's unlocked upon quest completion. Arcane, now the secret is out.
Hey.
What is the thing you're looking forward to about this boss and the new rewards that will be dropping?
So on the boss first, I think there's quite a lot of, I want to say very interesting mechanics. I'm obviously very biased. I've been working on the boss for the past couple of weeks, months. But I do think I've done some really weird things with it, which I think are quite interesting. It is a master level quest, so it's not going to be the new Inferno or anything like that, but it has got some really cool mechanics that I'm hoping feel really good to interact with, and it'll be a fun little grind to do for a while. And obviously the art team has done a fantastic job, and a lot of the animations and things just look really, really good. And the second one, about the rewards, so the big one is the bow, right? So the bow can hit multiple targets. We don't really have many of that. We have like kind of chins, and we have ice barrage and all the different ancient magics. So they're obviously really good for mass targets, so it's like 9 to 11 targets, but the bow like really excels at like 2 to 3 targets. And we don't really have much of that in the game right now. And whilst it isn't going to be like, oh, on this boss, you just camp this bow all the time. Like, that's kind of what we do with most of our mechanics right now. You pick the T-bow, you pick the bowfer, you pick the rapier, and you just camp that weapon for pretty much the entire thing. This is going to be more of like a utility switch of like, I equip this, I blast like 2 or 3 targets down, maybe in the Nalakis room, or in the TOB's like Maiden, where you've just got a couple of ads spawning every now and again, you can just blast them down. Yeah. It'll be more of like a tech switch that people decide to bring to the various pieces of content, and I hope that'll just be really fun to use, because we don't really, again, have many of those kinds of items. You generally just camp a certain weapon for a long period of time.
Yeah, I would just say, like, we've been playtesting the boss in the office, mostly at home nowadays. But obviously, just say I think it's also really good, and I know the teams really enjoyed fighting it as well. So hopefully the players think very much the same in January. But all right, let's talk about the big one, Desert Treasure 2, and what an awesome cinematic, by the way. That I've been watching it through the week as they've developed it as well. Every time,
literally phenomenal. It is so insane. Like we said at the start, the creative team have done an absolutely amazing job all round for everything leading up to the summit and including the summit. So mad props to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's not beat around the bush and let's cut straight to the chase. New prayers, the ruinous powers, a new prayer book. Can you tell me a little bit more about this and what players might expect to see come from it?
Ooh, well, I guess the important thing, not what players can see, what they won't see, is that this isn't just going to be curses. Like, obviously there is like clear like connections there, a new prayer book, connections to the Marjarat storyline, but we are very strong commitment here. We have no interest in bringing curses to old school now or ever. This is going to be something new. Because of those thematic ties, like inevitably, like there's going to be probably a few little crossovers here and there, but we want this to be something different. And because we're not really looking to replicate curses, probably actually a better comparison what we're doing here is what we're looking at is how spell books work, where it's not like curses where you have your normal prayer book, but as soon as you've unlocked curses, it's sort of like a leveled up version. You never need to go back to the old one. It's more like the spell books where, like, you know, sometimes use the ancient spell book, really good in some places, but you would never use it in others. And likewise, you know, Lunar spell book, like, there's utility to all of them. You're going to be swapping between them. That's very much what we're aiming for this prayer book. So hopefully some real, like, big boy new prayers on this, like things you are definitely going to want in like certain locations where you are not going to want to be going without this prayer book, but also sacrificing like some prayers on the normal prayer book, but you're definitely going to want to be switching back to it, so that both have their sort of like place in the game.
It's not just going to be combat either, right? We can go pretty wide with this. We can affect skilling. We can affect, obviously, a lot of PvP interactions. Like, hopefully this new prayer book has something for everyone.
I think that's an interesting idea. I don't think prayers really touch skilling at all.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'd never even thought of it, and I've been sitting here, like, working through the content, and never once did it cross my mind that prayers could affect skilling.
We have Preserve?
Yeah, I guess so. That's something. It's there.
Hopefully this will be a bit more useful than Preserve.
Yeah, maybe.
That's sort of like our minimum. Like,
sure. Okay, if you beat Preserve, you've done a pretty good job then. All right, fair enough. I think we should probably set the bar a little bit higher, maybe. But how about talking about that? You know, in fact, we've got the new polling system in place now. So how much will you be looking to lean on the community to help shape this new prayer book?
Hopefully, like, quite a lot. Like, one of the reasons why we're being a little bit vague here isn't just because we want to keep secrets. It's because, truth be told, like, while we know roughly like what sort of directions we want to go with this prayer book, like we were just talking about, the specific prayers, to be honest, still pretty up in the air, pretty open. So hopefully, like, we can work quite close with people. Like, people have suggestions and ideas, like, we'd love to hear them, and like, this could be a prayer book that we all create together.
Oh,
nice,
that would be lovely,
nice,
wouldn't
cute,
it?
Cozy.
It does sound
yeah.
cute and cozy. I guess it's a pretty good chance for me to remind everyone that at the end of this evening's stream, there will be a blog going live, and that blog will include all of the detail from the content that has been showcased this evening, as well as poll questions. Those poll questions go live on the 20th of December, and I think it's okay, I'm sorry if it's not, but I'm going to confirm that one of those questions is whether or not that prayer book should be added, because obviously we do want to involve the community as much as possible, so we may as well find out now, straight away, whether or not it's something that you actually want to see added into the game. So you'll be able to have the blog open for a week and a half or so before polling starts, and then you can let us know exactly whether or not we should add it, and then we move into hopefully what will be the next stage of community consultation and figure out exactly what that prayer book looks like. Now, of course, before you can start using the new prayers, you'll need to complete Desert Treasure 2, the Fallen Empire. Can you tell us any more about the quest itself?
Oh, well, no spoilers, of course, but we've already dropped, like, as I think I mentioned earlier, like, we've been hinting at sort of the direction we want to take this storyline for a good 3 years now, and that trailer there also had like quite a lot of little hints in as well. So between all of those, hopefully, like, if you've been paying attention, we can start to put work a few things out. But beyond that, what we can say is that you know, it's a sequel to Desert Treasure, and that's not just in the story, but also very much in sort of like the way it's going to play as well. It's going to be sort of that very classic feel where we've got Power of 4, we've got 4 new bosses, and they're going to, each of those is going to be found in a brand new area. So we've got 4 brand new areas, and as sort of announced earlier, there's 4 setup quests setting up those areas, with Secrets of the North being one of them. And these areas are very much sort of like, they're almost like the starring characters of this quest. The quest is called the Fallen Empire for a reason. Like, the Fallen Empire itself, not going to really say too much more, but each of these 4 areas has some like connection to that, and they're all areas that are brand new to old school. In fact, I think really, on the whole, the 4 areas are also not areas that have been seen in like RuneScape either, in RuneScape 3.
Wow.
So
okay.
It's hopefully something that should feel like very new and hopefully very exciting. And yes, of course, at the end of all those 4 new areas, brand new boss as well. 4 new bosses. You'll be fighting them in the quest.
As if it didn't need to get any hype anymore as it was. Like, come on, you've got to calm it down.
After the quest as well, we're gonna be making these as mentioned earlier. That these are going to be bosses that can be repeated after the quest as well. So that's 4 fully fledged new bosses coming with this one.
Damn, so a lot of content then coming from these 2 quests alone. Before we move on to some questions from chat, there's just one thing that I think is worth at least going over, and that is just a little bit more about the 4 bosses. Not looking for spoilers of any sorts, but it's more to do with the way that we approached what is now known as Secrets of the North. Obviously, many players were left itching to get a better understanding of what difficulty the Phantom boss was going to be at. Is there anything that we can share in terms of how difficult these 4 bosses may be? What kind of level would they sit at?
So it's sort of another one where we're still very early in the process here, but this is a Grandmaster quest. This is our first Grandmaster quest since Song of the Elves,
Okay.
and the bosses in the quest itself are going to reflect that. So you look at existing Grandmaster quests like Song of the Elves as mentioned, but also Dragon Slayer 2 with Vorkath and Galvek. Like that sort of gives you an idea of what sort of difficulty you'll be facing in the quest itself.
Okay.
For the post-quest bosses, we're aiming to do something similar to what we have done with Vorkath again, and what we're doing with the Secrets of the North boss, where the post-quest versions are going to be that bit harder, even a bit more of a challenge.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Thank you so much. Well, maybe we can quickly jump into a few chat questions that we can quick fire out. Kieren, if you want to just take the reins on this for a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Do we know the requirements yet for Desert Treasure 2?
Oh boy. So we know. So we haven't decided on the skill requirements for Desert Treasure 2 yet, but we do know the quest requirements. So we're all ready. Let's see if I get it right. So, unsurprisingly, first requirement. Desert Treasure 1. You will need to fully do Desert Treasure 1 to complete.
Really hoping I didn't need to do that one.
Not the pyramid.
And then we also have Anakra's Lament as another Marjarat quest that's leading into this one.
Glad you said that, not me.
Maybe I pronounced it right, maybe I pronounced it. The beauty is, being the lore guy, if I say, yeah, that's the
what you say
pronunciation,
goes, it's fine.
You can't disagree, can you? Like, and then the other 4 are the 4 quests that are setting up the 4 new areas. So that being Secrets of the North, which is coming out in January, which is in itself also a Marjarat quest. And then the other 3 being Below Ice Mountain, Temple of the Eye, and the very recently released, just a few days ago, Garden of Death. And then there will be skill requirements as well. One of those skill requirements will be prayer with the new prayer book, but not quite sure what those requirements are going to be yet. And we're also recommending a pretty hefty combat level for this one, combat level of 100. As always, it's just a recommendation. No, people will try it earlier. Some of them will succeed, I'm sure, but 100 is a recommendation. So again, on par with the other Grandmaster quests.
Chat seems really apprehensive about any rune crafting requirements. Can we confirm, deny any of those?
Well, the thing is, with Temple of the Eye being a requirement, there's some runecrafting content there. I think it's only fair that, 85 runecrafts.
85, 90. Right? It's Grandmaster quest.
Good job Guardians of the Rift came out not too long ago, so...
What's the hardest part of designing these quests? And I guess the same for bosses. We'll come to you first then on the quests.
I think with these ones in particular, like, there is... There's a lot to live up to, let's be honest. Like, as I mentioned earlier, when it comes to Marjarat, it is quite possibly the most iconic storyline that RuneScape has ever had. If you were to ask any player what the best quest ever released in a game is, there's a pretty high chance that Wild Gothic Sleep's going to be up there. And if it's not that one, it's probably going to be Ritual of the Marjarat or Desert Treasure instead. So I think the really hard thing here is making sure we do justice to this incredible storyline. And I hope we have. I hope we will. Like, we're certainly trying our best. We're hoping that we can do, I guess, something a little bit similar to what we've done, like when we've continued other storylines, in that we want to be respectful of what that storyline already is. We want to be respectful of the direction that storyline went in RuneScape, especially this one, because those quests that released in RuneScape, they were created by Paul Gower. The ones we don't have in also, like Ritual of the Marjarat, he worked on Wild Gothic Sleeps as well. Like, the OG storyteller, that was his vision. It would be wrong for us to go against that. But all that said and done, we're still very keen to introduce some elements that are completely new and unique to old school, to just to keep everyone on their toes. And as already mentioned, like the four areas, these are all like areas that, while they maybe been mentioned in lore before in both games, that you've never really been able to visit before. We've got a few new characters as well, and a few other surprises up our sleeves. So yeah, fingers crossed it all goes well.
Fingers crossed. And what about you, Arcane, for the bosses?
In terms of like what's the most important bit, or what's the hardest
part to design?
There's quite a few parts that I find like really interesting about boss development. I think you want everything to kind of have a gimmick where it like stands out as like, this is the boss, like what it's like known for. Like, and as much as it's probably a bit of a meme at this point, Calphite Queen's gimmick is the fact that it just demolishes you. Like, it doesn't roll accuracy on anything, so like that's almost the gimmick. And whilst that's not really great gameplay, it's known for that, and it gets a bit of an identity. And I think that's something that's really important for every boss to kind of have its really fundamental identity. Generally, that's quite an easy part of boss development. The hardest part is making it so it's not overwhelming, so it's like constant 100% brain focus all the time, because that's just exhausting in such a grind-based game like we have right now. So such as Fosani's Nightmare, like trying to do that for like dozens of hours, or equipped to Gauntlet, that can be quite intensive. So you want kind of like down periods where it's like a bit brain dead, and then there's a bit of high focus, and you get a bit of variety. So that's really hard, like getting that balance correct. And then actually like impacting the economy correctly in terms of like drop tables and making sure different kind of weapons and styles are being used, because you don't want every boss to just be killed by the rapier, right? That would just be really bad for the game. So that's another factor. And then I think the really hard part is making sure content has depth, like past the first 10, 20, 30, 40 hours. Our game is meant to be played for almost hundreds of hours to complete these bosses, right? And you don't really want it to like be really fun for the first 5 hours and then just get really boring really quickly. And that's really the hardest part in such a simplistic game we have, making sure there are little bits you can improve on, speed up, and avoid that little bit of extra damage. Trying to put those in has probably been the biggest challenge for me personally.
Awesome. Any other questions you want to follow up with?
I think in the most part, I think the best thing to do based off what I've seen on the chat questions is just wait until the blog comes out now and just have a look at it. As I say, we'll be releasing that at the end of the stream and you'll get all of the details coming out. So I don't know, do you want to wrap up and get ready for the next
Yeah,
review?
absolutely. So thanks Ed, thanks Arcane, both for joining us. We cannot wait to get stuck into these 2 amazing quests. I'm super pumped. I've been so excited to reveal this for so long. And I really think it's going to be, no pressure, like one of the most epic quests we've ever released. And I know Ed, even as a narrative designer with the quest you've been writing so far, you've learned a lot, and I'm pumped to see what you do with Desert Treasure. So, hell yeah. So what a night it's been so far, but it's not over yet. We've got one last thing to reveal. It's time.
Hey, I'm Mod Elena.
And I'm Mod Husky. You might better know us as the developers who recently brought you updates such as Group Iron Man and Guardians of the Rift.
We're here to talk about something exciting, something we've tried before but not quite got right in the past. And that's how we'd like to work with you all to introduce Old School RuneScape's first new skill.
Skills are an integral part of our game that touch every single piece of content and are one of the biggest player motivations while playing the game. Whether that's to reach a specific skill threshold to unlock content, to make money, to obtain unique items, or even just to enjoy that simple nostalgic feeling of receiving the level up message, hearing the jingle, and seeing fireworks above your head. Since the game's release, we've expanded on skills in a number of ways. We've introduced new milestones within a skill, new methods of training them, and new mini-games that you can play. But the one thing we haven't done is add an entirely new skill into the game.
We're not here today to tell you what the new skill is. We don't even know ourselves. Right now, we want to understand how you feel about the concept of a new skill, what you want from one, and how we can do it right. We want to work more closely with the community than we did in the past, to include you all in every step of that journey. We have 4 design pillars that we believe are important, no matter what the new skill is. Number 1, the new skill must be a healthy addition that is deeply rooted in the game. Number 2, it must provide meaningful progression. Number 3, it must appeal to a variety of player types. Number 4, it must be engaging and enjoyable to train. In short, it means we have to be mindful of what we add to the game. It must still feel like old school, and everyone should get something to look forward to.
So, while we don't know what the new skill is yet, we are excited to work alongside the community to find out together. But before we even get to that point, we need to know whether you want a new skill in the game, regardless of what that skill is. To answer that question, there's a blog with more information about new skills and a poll live right now where you can vote and decide if this is something that we should pursue in 2023.
We're super excited about the prospect of adding a new skill, and we hope you are too. We can't wait to work together with the community to build something brand new that still keeps the essence of everything that is old school.
Oh my god, that was
a big one, that's a big one.
That has been the hardest thing to keep secret for so long. Can you believe that we are here and we have got the absolute pleasure to announce that we are finally looking into adding a new skill since Warding from way back when?
I've been wanting to do a new skill for a long time. We've touched on it in the Q&A maybe long ago as well, but I think it's the one real chance we have with this kind of update to add some really big, deep new mechanic into the game, which is something you can't do with most updates.
No, you really can't. Now, obviously, you heard it in the video, there is a blog that is live right now, and very shortly, I'm just waiting on confirmation from the team behind the scenes. There we go, I've just got it. The poll is also live. So the poll question is simply asking whether or not you want us to add a skill to Old School RuneScape. It also states in the poll question that we'll be working with the community very closely to decide not only what the skill is, but also the details of the skill. So make sure that you go and check out the blog, read all of the details. There's a whole load of information in there that talks about our approach in so much detail. You'll understand from the very start to the very end how that process is going to work, and then obviously head into game and go and cast your vote. It's your chance to say, finally, whether or not we should be adding a skill. Now, in that blog, there's also a video. I recorded it in my bedroom, so please go and watch it. It talks about it. If you don't even want to read the blog, you can watch the video and find out exactly how it is that we're going to be looking at adding that skill into the game. As I said, there's a whole bunch of steps. If you vote yes to this question now, or if you vote, well, I mean, if you vote no to this question now, well, then the rest of it doesn't matter because we'll have to try again. But let's just say you vote yes to this question now. What does that mean? Does it mean that a skill is just going to get forced into the game? No, it doesn't mean that at all. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be using that information to basically say, great, this means the community actually want us to add a skill to the game, and they want us to spend time developing a skill, or designing a skill, sorry. Once we've got that green light, we're going to then enter community consultation stage, which is where we're going to work with the community really closely to figure out what exactly the skill should be. What makes it a skill? What type of skill should it be? What are the top level features that need to make this something that the community actually wants? Once we've got enough information, we're then going to take it into the pitching stage. The pitching stage is essentially where we've got 3 different concepts that we're going to put forward to you. We feel like it's really important that we give you not just 1 design, not 2, but at least 3 that you then get to decide on. And those designs are going to be based off the information that you gave us during the community consultation period. And that then goes into an in-game poll. You then get to decide which one of those 3 skills we take to the next stage. That next stage is what we're calling refinement, and refinement is essentially where we're just going to get into the nitty-gritty details. You know, what kind of rewards do we want to be looking at? Should the various aspects of the skill do X, Y, Z? It's really, imagine the old design blogs that we used to put together, the really fleshed out ones. That's the kind of level of detail we're talking about. Why are we polling that? Well, because it takes quite a lot of time to work on those designs. So we really just want to make sure that if we're going to do that, it's a design that it's what the community wants. Now, if that was to then pass, does that mean that that one refined skill is the one that's being added to the game? No. Even at this point, there's still an opportunity for us to go back, which I'll explain very shortly. But let's just say that we've then finished the skill refinement and we've got together a really good detailed design. We put that out to you and we say, is this the skill that you want? That's your chance to then say, yes, this is the skill that we want to be added to the game. If that question was to pass, it's locked in. That's the skill that we're going to start development on. And then from there, we'll do multiple open betas, testing various different features of the skill, committing to a larger playable piece of content of the actual, full skill in its entirety to some degree at least anyway, before it gets put into the game, so you can at least give us your feedback and we can make changes, so on and so forth. Now, sorry, Kieren, I realise I've talked a lot here, but I've just got one last little bit and then we'll quickly talk about how you feel about it. Now, if we get to refinement and you just decide that that skill isn't the skill that you want, it's just not there, the design isn't good enough, and the poll fails, are we done? Are we just going to say, fine, we're not going to add a skill? No. What we'll do is we'll have a look at all of the feedback that we've got given, and if it seems like there are some obvious changes that we can make, then we'll make them. And if those changes would warrant that we were to repoll, we may look at repolling that same skill again. But if that was to fail and it just simply isn't good enough, we'll go back to the pitching stage where we had those 3 designs that we put forward to you before. Maybe there's another one that you prefer now that you'd like us to refine now that you know how exactly we're going to approach it. And then we can work through refining that instead. Obviously, you would be able to vote on that at this time. And we'll refine that and then we'll poll that refined design and see if that's the one that you want. If that doesn't work, we can go all the way back to the start of the drawing board, and that is during the community consultation period. We'll work with you to get more feedback so that we can come forward with 3 new designs and then continue that process on. Now, obviously, there may become a point where we've done this so many times that so much work has been gone into it that it's just simply not getting to the point that we need to, and we may need to take a small break, for example, But what I'm trying to get across here is that we really want to work closely with you to make sure that if we are adding a skill to the game, it's a skill that you're happy with, that you actually want to be added, and it's time spent because you want it being put in. So lots to think about, lots to consider. As I said, there is a blog live, so make sure you go check that out, and also go and have your say, go and vote, and let us know whether or not we should be adding a skill into the game or not. That's about all I can say in regards to that now, so it's finally time for me to give myself a little bit of a rest. Kieren, tell me how you feel. What do you think? You've been reading chat, what are they saying?
It's crazy to see that the vote is live right now. Like, you can go and have your say on it. I mean, to echo a lot of what you said, I think the biggest thing I've taken out of what our past attempts at pulling a skill like warding, 4 years ago nearly now, is that we need to work with the community from the start.
Sure.
That collaboration needs to be baked into our design process from day one, pretty much, and ultimately bring the players on the journey with us, rather than us squibbling away behind the scenes and then pitching a full design. That's what I want. I want to add a skill that the community wants, and it really does have potential to make a drastic impact on old school, hopefully for the better.
Sure.
So yeah, super pumped. Have your say. We want to hear you. We want to hear your feedback as well. So yeah, get that across. But yeah, super pumped because it's one of the things I've really wanted to do. I think it's the only kind of update we've really never delivered. Obviously, we've done skilling updates, we've done quests, we've done bosses, we're adding Bounty Hunter back. Like, we've done all these different things for different communities. But a new skill, that feeling of leveling up, racing for 99, that's a unique experience that can only come with a new skill. And
for sure,
yeah, really hope we do get the chance to do it and please the community with it.
It really would be great, and I think that's what's so fantastic about our new approach, is just that it is so entirely community focused this time round. It's not us telling you what skill we're going to be adding, it's asking what skill do you want us to add, and working with them to figure out exactly what that means. And that is obviously a new experience to us as well. So I'm really excited to see exactly how that works out. We'll have a few chances before then with pieces of content that came out to trial out that approach, and honestly, I think it's like the best thing to be possible, like best situation possible. Working in community management, I get to work with everyone to help design like what this is going to be like. So it's going to bring the developers and the players closer than ever before. And I honestly just think that's absolutely incredible. We've got a few questions from chat, but before we get into them, I feel like everyone is kind of like spamming yays or nays, which is awesome to see. I want to remind everyone, even though you're already all spamming it, just in case you haven't said it enough, the keyword for the giveaway, the final giveaway of the evening, is freeze. All in caps, so make sure you've typed it in. You've got one more chance, okay? And then we'll be rolling that very soon. Kieren, what do we want to say about this question from chat? It's literally just one so far. Where are the other questions? At Old School RS in the chat, you've got to be hyped for the fact there's a new skills. Come on, surely there's got to be more questions than that.
Everyone's busy voting.
Or they're busy voting and reading the blog. Maybe they're
go.
watching the video right now. Oh, I see. I get it. Okay. Well, I may as well ask it, because why not? Will there ever be an old school?
You can never say never, right? Because I feel like that's a promise I couldn't necessarily make, and 50 years from now somebody adds old school. But there's no intentions today,
sure,
at the very least.
Okay. What about max total worlds for the new skill? Obviously, a new skill will introduce a new total level. Will we have new total level worlds?
Gosh, I don't know. I do kind of love the idea of having a world that nobody's on. But once that person reaches 99,
that one person gets exclusive access.
They have their own world.
Do you know what? That would generate some pretty good hype for being like the first person to max out, right?
I don't know, is the honest question. And this is obviously, we're super early doors, right? Like, we thought about these kind of core principles that Elena and Husky covered in the video.
Yeah.
That I think we believe any skill needs to meet. But we're so early. So these kind of questions around max capes, total level worlds, and so on, we still need to think about, and that's what this whole community consultation phase will be entirely about.
I mean, we've already been kind of thinking about that internally. Obviously, we were prepping for this moment for quite some time now, and you'll see a lot of the fruits of our labour when it comes to the community consultation period. But there are so many questions that we want to ask, because we don't want to be the ones that are just forcing through all of the decisions in this, because at the end of the day, it is such a big deal. We need to make sure that you're all on board with it too. So yeah, as I've said already, make sure that you go and vote. Let us know if it's something that you want us to look into. Talking about voting, there's a question here, can you explain how to vote? I'll be more than happy to explain how to vote. So if you haven't already, you can head into game, you can go to a poll booth, which are available at pretty much all of the banks across Gillinor, and it's a little box, it's got a little flag on it, you go vote there. If you don't want to go to a poll booth because you're in the middle of a Slayer task or you like trundling around off on your adventures, maybe doing a clue scroll, if you open up the account settings tab, the account management tab, there is a section within there that actually allows you to vote as well. It's in the, there's like a community tab, it's where the link to the wiki and such is. When there's a poll active, it actually appears in there too, so there's that. If you by any chance see a broadcast happening in-game that ever tells you that a poll is now live, you can also right-click those and open notification and it'll bring up the poll system for you. So there's 3 ways that you can go and vote. Hopefully that helps out. Ooh, that's a good question. I want you to answer this one, Kieren. Has a new skill been talked about for a long time in the team?
It's like always a topic, I feel like, really.
Well, I mean, how long ago was sailing offered?
Yeah,
so,
well, I mean, we offered sailing in 2015.
Yeah.
Artisan was 2014, I think. So, yeah, a new skill's been a topic for a long time, because I think it is one of the biggest updates you can add to old school. So, hence, it's always a topic. But as designers, obviously, it's something we're always interested in. Like, what could we do for a new skill? We see suggestions all the time from the players, like exploration, bard skill suggestions. There's all kinds that come through all the time, and we always take the time to look through them and get a feeling for what people think. But ultimately, we've waited for what we believe is the right time to start this conversation and really actually explore this topic. We've got a really strong pair of developers who are looking to start this design process with the community. So yeah, super excited is the honest truth, and mildly terrified as well about how the vote's going to go. But we're fascinated to find out. I mean, it's the first thing I'm going to be doing as soon as we wrap up here is checking how the vote's going so far.
Try and see if it's if we've hit the mark or not. So yeah, I'm interested to see the feedback from the approach, because it's something that we worked on for a very long time, and it's one of those that I just think is did we get it right? Did the community accept the way that we thought was best in their eyes, at least, to approach adding a skill? I think we can maybe answer a couple more questions here. There's a few that are quite interesting. There is a question here, when does the vote end? Voting ends on the 16th of December. So it's open from now until, is that like next Friday? I believe it is next Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Should be. I mean, do you think we have a tentative timeline for when any skill might be in game?
I mean, honestly, the reality of it is it entirely depends on how soon we can get through the community consultation, refinement, and then locking in. Well, community consultation, pitching, refinement, then locking in. Because if we have to go through multiple rounds of that, then there is no way that we could give a realistic estimation. But I don't know. I don't want to say too much that's too bad, but I think if we were to go through and hit it on the mark, every step was a one try, one and done, we could maybe see like a decent beta by the end of the year, probably.
Yeah, I think that's the first thing you'll see if we do move forward, right, is beta testing. We want to get feedback on mechanics, these kind of things as we go, and make sure it's right for when we do get to full launch. But gosh, it's so early.
Yeah,
it's so
really
impossible to predict exactly where things will line up. It entirely depends on what skill. If we were doing fire making, it might be next week.
Well, let's please not do fire making. Let's please not. I just want to clarify, by the way, that in terms of like saying that is not a commitment. It is not anything more than just a random estimation that I've plucked together. I'm pretty confident, well, I am very confident that for us, what's actually most important is making sure that we get it right. And if getting it right takes time, then it just takes time. That's just what it's going to have to be. And really, you guys at home are going to be ones that dictate that, because we'll be working with you to figure out all the details. So
yeah, there's a question about considering community suggested skills, and I want more. give me your suggestions. I'm sure we'd love to take them on board and read them, because absolutely right. The whole point of this process is to consult with the community, get their input. If the community also has a fully fledged pitch for a skill, why would be silly not to listen? So of course that is a potential.
Absolutely. I think the whole community suggested skills is, if they have a full design, then great. But even if not, the whole skill itself is going to be community suggested, right? Because it's going to come from them eventually. So yeah, I think that has probably been about all that we can answer right now in terms of the new skill. If you do have any more questions, then make sure you check out the blog. There's all the details in there. If you haven't already, make sure that you go and vote. Because that's a thing now, it's live. It is insane to even be able to say that. I'm extremely nervous, anticipating how it's going to go down. If you haven't seen it already, then there is a command !new skill that will give you the link for the actual blog itself. And as I mentioned at the start of the stream, we were putting out a blog that covered all of the pieces of content that you've seen today. Gives a little bit of information. Some of the stuff that was covered within the recordings is contained within there. So if you missed anything, or if you want to get clarifications, maybe a little recap, then you can do !summary summit. And that will give you a link for the summary blog that includes the poll questions that will go live on the 20th of December. See, it all makes sense now. The skill comes first and the rest of it afterwards, and we'll figure out what we're going to be doing next year. Okay, I think we should probably look at rolling the winner of that final light giveaway. What do you reckon, Kieren? You want to announce the winner this time?
Let's do it. We have a winner for the Ice Barrage LED neon style light, and our winner is, this is the hardest one to pronounce. This is why I've left it to me. It's Zehanot565. Yay! Woo!
Pog.
Congratulations. For all the winners of the lights, I believe Modlight will be in touch via DM.
Amazing. All right, now before we head over to wrapping up our announcements and our plugs, there is one really important thing that we'd like to put out in terms of information here, and that is that we have a survey for the Winter Summit itself. We want to know what you thought about the stream and the announcements today. So if you haven't already, head over to osrs.game/winter-summit-survey. We'll get a command in chat for you very shortly. That's just gone live now. And whilst we get that command built up, let's talk about Premier Membership, Kieren. Can you tell me what Premier Membership is?
It is the best value membership package available.
Wow.
12 months of membership for a huge discount.
You're
all this
so
content
good.
we've just talked about is going to be released, maybe bar the skill, in the next year. So why not buy? Corporate sellout over.
Why not? You know, why not? To be fair, you know what? Even if it wasn't a corporate like shill, it is such good value for money.
Yeah.
With how much of a discount it is. It's like, I think it's like about 50% off if you buy a whole year in advance. So
it is definitely the cheapest option and the best way to go. I mean,
like £5 a month in that sense. That's back to how many years ago?
Yeah.
That was nearly when I used to pay on my house phone, as much to my parents' disgust. Sorry, Mum and Dad. That was a long time ago. Hopefully you forgive me now. All right. How about if you've got a nice little AFK skilling activity to do, like Forestry, Way of the Forester? Well, if you are starting a new skilling pure or looking to jump into Forestry, then what better way to experience the world of Gielinor on the go with the official old school RuneScape mobile app? You'd have thought I'd know how to say this by now of how many times I've gone over it. But it is available on iOS and Android devices with constant updates and a bunch of new features added this year. Take your adventures with you wherever you go. And remember, !mobile UI to see everything in regards to the mobile interface that is being updated very soon. What's the next one you've got to do? You're on the next one, Kieren.
Brilliant.
Be ready.
So, Golden Gnome Awards.
Oh, I probably should have done that one.
That
really,
is definitely your kind of area.
Well, you can do it now. Your community now. Come on.
But yes, so Golden Gnome Awards for 2022 will be coming soon. I believe it'll be the other side of Christmas when we open up the request for nominations and so on. But super excited. It's always an amazing stream, an amazing event to give back to our community and recognize the different talents. Whether it's your video makers, your streamers, your artists, whoever it is, we'll be there to hopefully recognize that.
Fantastic. And I've seen a few people mentioning about Premier Membership. For what it's worth, membership is across both games, so it is for RuneScape and Old School, so it's just across the board. And one last time, I'd just like to remind you that there is a poll live for if you want us to add a new skill to Old School. So go ahead and vote, let us know what you think. And if you do want us to add a new skill, make sure that you've checked out the blog to see exactly how it is that we're going to be doing it. Now remember that there is a survey that is out. We do want you to try and fill that survey out and give us some feedback. Let us know what you thought about the stream and the announcements. osrs.game/winter-summit-survey. And I think that is about it. If you want an easier way to get to the survey, !survey. Probably should have said that before, but it's on the screen now, !survey. We'll make sure that we put it out in socials, so check out on the different platforms. We'll put it in one of our posts as well. I believe that there's a link to the survey at the bottom of the Winter Summit summary blog, so you'll definitely be able to find it there. But please do let us know, because this is something that we want to keep this format going, right? It's not a one and done. We do want to keep this going. I think we want to try and do it like, what, every 3 to 4 months or so? Something like that?
Yeah, probably a major summit like to the scale of this twice a year, and smaller regular updates. Sort of two.
That'd be so good.
Yeah.
I always like an opportunity to come and sit down in a fantastic set, be joined by amazing creative work, and just share everything that we've been doing with the community. It is absolutely amazing.
It's a huge fun to be part of, to be honest.
It really is. Okay, so yeah, I think that's about all that we've got time for this evening. Do you have any final words, Kieren?
Shall we bring up the full roadmap graphic?
Oh, come on then. Go on then.
Let's do it.
Woo, look at that.
There we go. Fully fleshed out. So, first reminder is on the smaller scale, Christmas is next week, and then into the new year, January 11th, Secrets of the North, the first of 2 major Marjarat quests coming next year. Early 2023, we'll have official account builds, that is us recognizing the various different restricted accounts that players build, be it that skillers, 10 HP accounts, 1 defense accounts.
I think before we move on, can I just quickly clarify something? Because I saw a little bit of this during the break. Like, I'm sorry, I was on my phone. I probably shouldn't be, but it's unprofessional. I'm addicted to just seeing what the people have to say. There was a lot of confusion, I think, where people were like, "Oh, is this a new game mode?" No, it's not a new game mode. These accounts already exist. People are already playing them as they are now. It's just us giving a way to allow them to be recognised, and also allowing them a way to play a little bit differently than they do now. But there's also one other thing as well, and I think, Kieren, you did a really good job of explaining it to me during the break, and that is, what about people who already have unofficial restricted accounts? What's in it for them for all of the hard work that they've put into getting to where they are now when this comes out, and someone may have an easier job of getting stats that would have otherwise taken a lot of time to be able to get to?
Well, step 1 for all of this is obviously we want to recognise that community.
Sure.
We want to get more people into those communities. And ultimately, obviously, you'll have a flashy, nice badge of some description next to your name and a high score to see where you rank. But we're also really interested in recognizing the players who don't gain XP. In that, obviously, we are going to block XP in, say, defense. But what about those who haven't completed the quest, which would have given XP? We want to try and recognize those players as well. We don't know exactly how we're going to do that yet, but obviously that's going to be part of the conversations we have going forward.
But maybe some kind of like prestige system of sorts, where if you're a purist of pure locked account, then you would be known as being that way. And if someone was a locked account that maybe, did do a few quests and got some things that they probably wouldn't have been able to otherwise, they'll have a different recognition.
Exactly that.
Amazing. So. Okay, thank you. I really just wanted to clarify those whilst I had the chance, so sorry about that. And then after that, I'm going to steal this one off you because I'm so excited for it. Bounty Hunter. Oh my God, it's finally coming back, and we are looking to change it up. I wouldn't say entirely. It's not going to be on the scales of like Bounty Hunter V2 of all the crazy tasks and streaks and such, but the main thing for here is craters. Separating people out into different combat brackets and locking people into a specific area. A fully opt-in experience that we can then take full advantage of when it comes to rewards, when it comes to different mechanics or different attributes or abilities, not abilities, but you know what I mean, like within the arena, we can do what we want. If we want to make it so that every kill that you get, if you want to risk being in the arena for another 5 minutes to get better rewards, we could do that. We want to make it so that as soon as you step in, it's dangerous, so that you can't sit on the sideline and go in and out waiting for your own account to be assigned to you on another client. We can do that. If we want to put in some crazy rewards that do not make sense anywhere else in the game, we can do that because they'll only be usable within there. We don't have to worry about PVM. We don't have to worry about people within the wilderness. We don't have to worry about anything other than Bounty Hunter. And do you know what the beauty of it is? We'll be able to let the people that play Bounty Hunter help tell us what they want and make those decisions too. So I am honestly super excited for it. Hopefully the players are as well. And as you see there, spring 2023 potentially.
Not that far away.
Really not, it's not at all.
Not too far away at all. And following from that, Forestry, the way of the forester, that social expansion to the woodcutting skill. We want to make that sort of core loop for woodcutting of chopping trees a little bit more fleshed out. Not have to hide away from fellow woodcutters and be able to chop the same tree without worrying about XP loss and so on. So yeah, really excited for that. Then it's the big one, the second Marjarat quest of the year, the sequel to one of the most iconic quests in RuneScape, Desert Treasure 2, The Fallen Empire.
One
Incredible.
of the best cinematics that I think we've ever seen. That was amazing. Really
Yeah,
amazing.
definitely go and show your love on those videos as well. I'm sure the creative team would appreciate it too. But yeah, super excited. 4 new bosses, sticking to that iconic format of Desert Treasure with the 4 boss fights. And you'll be able to fight them again after the quest is completed for various rewards, which we'll be working out in due course. And of course, lastly,
a new skill, potentially, depending on whether or not you want one. So go and let us know. Make sure that you vote. It's there. You can tell us. But also, please do make sure you read the blog, because there is so much more to it than just simply saying yes to a skill and a skill being added. And we really want to make sure that you're bought in from the very start, because that's just the way that we think is best to do it going forward. So we'll see what you have to say about it. What an amazing, amazing lineup. I hope that everyone at home has enjoyed it. Please do fill the survey out and let us know, because we would love to continue doing these. I've had an absolute blast. It's been a pleasure to be joined alongside you, Kieren. You've done a fantastic job. Thank you so much for helping me out. I guess really what I need to do, and what we both should do, to be completely honest, is thank everyone who has worked really hard to make this possible. We've got so many mods that are backstage, behind the scenes, helping out. The production team have done a fantastic job building this amazing set with all the amazing camera work and the things popping up. Our social team getting everything coming up on the social channels in time, the blogs live, etc., etc. But also all of you guys back at home. Thank you so much for tuning in. You've been wonderful. Thank you so much for being so active in the chat as well, although a lot of it was to do with coins, hardcore Iron Men and freezes. But you know what? It's been an absolute pleasure. Kieren, do you have any other closing words?
Again, I echo exactly what you said. Thanks so much for watching. It's been a lovely thing to be part of. I'm super hyped for the next 6 months of Old School, and so should you.
Oh, that was good. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Have a wonderful weekend. That's it from us, and we will see you in the new year.